All right, app developers, it is time to take things that we have learned in Swift Playgrounds and move them into Xcode. So this is a very exciting day. The hope is to get the app that I demonstrated in class yesterday that was running on the iPad running in a simulator within Xcode for a phone, and then also running it on a physical device. And so this could be a phone, it could be an iPad, it could be something else. As long as it runs iOS, it will work for our purposes here. So open up Xcode. You will see a window that looks something like this. You're going to go to create a new Xcode project, and it will give you a bunch of options. We're going to make this for iOS. We're going to be creating an app, and those are all the settings you need to worry about for now. Hit next. I'm going to call this Map App Xcode. Let's try that. And you're going to want to make sure the team, I'm going to use my personal team. We'll get into what that means a little bit later, but you're going to want to sign into Xcode with your Apple ID. Organization, I'm using this one. You can use the same one if you want. And then, actually, you make this, you may want to add on something else to it, maybe your initials, a name, something else, just to add on to the name of it. And there's a few reasons why that I'm not going to get into right now. You want the interface to be Swift UI. You want to use Swift UI app, language of Swift, and you want to get all of these unchecked. So, we give it a second. I'm going to uncheck this for a couple reasons, and we'll talk more about later. And we create the project. Okay, and so we'll do a quick little tour of what you see. Over here, we have what's called the Project Explorer, and that lets you see a bunch of the files that are part of your project. You have a window where you can see your code. When you are using Swift UI, this window right here will let you see a real-time view of what your app will look like with the various elements. It's not necessarily an active version of the app itself running, but it lets you see how the various pieces in SwiftUI, how they're going to look when they run. This isn't that important for what we're going to do because you're not really designing an app right now. We are just going to take the app that we used last time and put it right into this Xcode project so you can see some of the steps required. Okay, so I've decided I'm not going to wait for this thing to finish to show you what it does. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our SwiftUI map from yesterday, and I'm going to take everything on this page of the SwiftUI map, everything from the front page that runs the app itself. That's this one where when you run it, it shows you the app in the playground. This one right here. Okay. So this page right here, I'm going to take all of this code and I'm going to delete everything here and paste it in. And I'm going to need to make a couple little changes here to make it work. We'll get to what that's going to be a little bit later. First thing we're going to do is manage some errors that pop up. We don't need playground support, so we're going to pull these out. I am going to bring your attention to this idea that the map app is what contains our SwiftUI app right now. So this we're going to be placing somewhere else in the code. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete this line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this map app Xcode app.swift. And instead of content view, I'm going to put map app because this is the name of the SwiftUI app that we put together in Playgrounds. That's this right here. And so that's going to say that when the app loads, it's going to run that app. We still have a bunch of errors, and we're going to continue having those errors until we get a bunch of things figured out. So this was just shaded. I hit Command S to save it. I'm going to go back to Content View. It's complaining because right now this project doesn't know what map view is. It also doesn't know what location list is. And this is because in our playground book over here, we have created these files where we have stored all of these things. What we need to do is reproduce these files within Xcode. So I'm going to create one file for each of these and paste the code for that file into the file I create. We'll start with class locations. So I'm going to create a file called classlocations.swift. I'm going to do that by going to File, New, File. I'm going to make a new Swift file. I'm going to call it classlocations.swift. And so now I have this other file. I'm going to clear that out. And in its place, I'm going to take all of the code from my class locations file in the playground and just paste it in here. I hit Command S to save it. And if we go back to Content View, we'll see that the location list is no longer a problem, but it still doesn't know map view. And so we need to do the same process to create the other three files from our playground book: map annotation, map location, and map view, and bring them into the project. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, but it's the same process. Okay, so we've added all of those files in, so things are looking okay, and what we can see, give it a second, is that this is now at least happier than it was before. While we're waiting here, I'm going to try this out on an iPhone 11. Or actually, no, let's do an iPad Pro. Let's try that out. So we'll use that in the simulator. If I hit the play button, it's going to try to build, but it's going to have some issues as I try to build it. Or so I thought. Okay, it's a little surprising that it's just working. And so what this is now doing is it's actually running a virtual iPad Pro on the computer. This takes a lot of horsepower on the computer, so it takes some time, and I'm going to speed this up in a minute so you don't have to wait for it to initialize. But that's one thing to realize as this is running. Your battery is going to run down really quickly, and part of the reason is that your computer is now running a completely virtual version of an iPad at the same time that it's a real computer. So it requires a lot. So we're going to wait for this to come together. Cool. So you can see that this is now a virtual iPad. I can go in on the map here and move it around, and I can also run everything that I was showing you in class the other day. So we have all these locations, and when you click in there, it takes you to that location in the map. I'm having some trouble zooming. I wonder if I have to, oh, that's how you do it. So if I hold Shift down and I drag up, it zooms in, down, it zooms out. And so this is working the same as it did in the playground. If I'm surprised, if I look surprised, and I am a little surprised, when I did this not too long ago, it actually didn't work. It worked perfectly this time, and I'm not totally sure why I had trouble the first time, but I'm glad it did. You may have some other issues. Hopefully it's as smooth for you as it is right now. So that's it. We successfully got our app to run within Xcode. And in another video, I will show you how you might go about actually uploading this to a real device, so you can see your SwiftUI app running on a device. See you next time.